Hello and welcome back to the channel. So you know already when I do these videos because there is a new firmware update for Looperlative, and actually in the last time I'm super happy because Bob was super very active, and actually we had two firmware updates in a row, so 3.10 and then a few weeks after 3.11, and I'm glad I waited to do this video because before wasn't expecting the second firmware coming so shortly, and so I can kind of like condense everything together. And it's super cool because now with these two firmwares, first of all, there are some new features, and also a feature that this morning when I saw 3.11 coming out, I was like, Eureka! Finally Bob did it, and it's something that I asked me already a long time ago. And this first part concerned the Midi clock synchronization, because back then both also on LP1 and LP2 only, as you know, I love Looperlative because they have a very solid Midi clock capabilities both in and out, but now to Looperlative up to now was able to generate a Midi clock and send it out to other devices, but this was always only based on the track, on the length of track 1. And now finally Bob did a tiny switch in the pedal, and now when we use the set source clock command inside the LP2 or LP1 to change which one is the synchronization, which track is the synchronization master inside the LP, that will also move the Midi clock generator to that particular track. And this comes in super handy because now I can have, it don't matter which loop, for example loop 3, and do something rhythmical and then say, okay, you are now the sync master of the LP2, but also the Midi clock based sent out from Midi 2 from the excuse me, but also the Midi clock sent out from Looperlative is based on that track 3, so that I can synchronize it to a synthesizer or drum machine, whatever. Okay. Also, and now we see in the ground you see only the LP2, but maybe you see in red there is this Midi cable which is going from the LP2 inside my line 6 HX stump, and now we can check this Midi clocking thing going on. So let me delete all tracks now, for example, and now I will kind of like generate some random loops of random length, so we can just have a different kind of different loops of different lengths. Here we do a super short one, and here we do a very long loop. And now that I'm switching back to my main Midi bank in the MC6, because here I have a master for a set clock source track command. Now, so with that I can change the length. And now on let me stop this one. Now on the line 6 I have a delay. This delay of course is clocked to track 1, but now if I go to clock 2 and I change the synchronization master to be on track 2, I programmed the delay on the HX to have these artifacts when changing the tempo, so you notice now. Go back to track 1, change the master. Now we go to track 3, the very short one. Okay, Okay, maybe this one is a bit too short to generate Now you have the fourth one, which was the very long one. And so in this way we can use LP1 also as a clock generator device as well, which is super cool, and for me it's a super cool addition. I remember a few years ago when I went again to do a live looping festival in Santa Cruz in California. It's something that I discovered only there back then, that Track 1 was sending out a MIDI clock, because I was like, oh, I could have LP1 to clock my delay on the line 6, and so I was trying to experiment with that prior going to California, but noticed that it didn't work as I wanted to, and now it does it. The other big change, it's about also the, now in the meantime I delete all the tracks, okay. The other big change and update, it's also about the ostinato functions, because as you remember, now we do kind of like a drone. Okay, now I go to this bank. I used also in the ostinato video to show you the demo, because I did some tiny changes. Okay, if you remember, up to now we had only these two types of ostinato, the 16 and the 30-second ostinato. So if we play this loop again and we apply these standard ostinatos, 16, I undo and now do this 30-second. Voila. So now there is also a new configuration app for your macOS or Windows system, and in this app now you have a page where you can create your own ostinato patterns, and this is a super cool feature, because actually on a way also it allows you to, you have a grid where you can select how many steps you want from, let me check quickly, I think it's from 4, no, from 1 actually. Okay, you can go down minimum 4 steps up to 64, and in these steps you have a grid where you can decide which step it's gonna play or not, and also you can decide if the steps are gonna be scrambled together. And this is super cool, because actually on a way, if you think about this, you can have kind of like have this new user custom pattern ostinatos. You can use that also to create your own scramble function, because if you remember, you have these 3 scrambles: slow, medium, and fast, which are kind of like chopping the loop into chunks and randomly realigning those. And we have the slow one being 16 chunks, then 32 chunks, and then 64 chunks for the fast one. And so now, for example, I can do something even slower, which is I did kind of like an 8-step scramble, thanks to this custom user custom patterns, and it sounds like this. Of course, it's like the ostinato, so if I trigger once again this, I will re-scramble once again these 8 chunks once again, but I don't have the possibility like the scramble when I apply it and then I trigger once again scramble, I undo that, so you have really to use undo to do that. But now it's cool, because on a way I can also come up with my own pattern and ostinato scrambling madness. For example, now one thing I did was first I was having a pattern which is 18 step. So if you count it down, it's kind of like ever a 3/4. Get this kind of like 3/4 feeling, and this would sound like this. I undo that, and also I went far away on a sense that I did also with the maximum steps of 64, and 64 would sound something like this one. Of course, in such a small loop is a bit messy, it becomes super glitchy, but if you record a longer loop, and now we apply the 64 pattern. So you can create your own patterns and rhythmical stuff, etc., with these new functions. There are also many new features actually in with these new firmwares, which are related to the configuration app. Actually, before I've closed the video, and we have few new stuff. Beside this, also now you have the main stuff, which is important also for me. Now you can decide, this is also super cool, it wasn't available before. You can decide if the input is mono or stereo. Means if it's stereo, it's like standard as it was up to now, so stereo in, stereo out. Or you can have a mono input routing, which means you can also go mono into the LP1 or LP2, and then in the Looperlative you will split the same mono signal up to both outputs, which is super handy. And you have to set this in the control app. Also another thing you can set now, it's the main level, it's in steps, which if I remember well from Bob's video, you can go up and down by 6 decibel steps each time. I, for example, mine set to -2, which actually it's the same level as I had it up to now, so I'm super fine with that. And it's also can apply unity from input to output. Did some tests. Okay, then yes, and then there is a new thingy that you can decide if the output, you know, you have a mix knob on the back of the looper where you can set the mix of the pedal being only wet or in between up to 50-50 wet and dry. But now you have also in the app a parameter which you can select if you have wet and dry or only wet from the Looperlative. Exactly, and then the rest more or less is the same as usual. Yeah. Now you have also, for LP2 it doesn't work yet, but for example with LP1 and the Raspberry Looperlative you can also upload your files into the LP from your computer. And yes, there is also this system now that kind of like the LP2, it's kind of like recording all the loops on a way, and you can access these on the config app. So you have a page which is called let me check, audio files, and in the audio files menu you can go in there and access these old memory recordings of your loops. But there is not a way with LP2 at the moment to kind of like export this file to your computer. The only way would be to open the pedal and remove the SD card, and then you can copy the files to your computer. Also remember, don't format the SD card, because on the SD card there are also some files that are used for the configuration of the LP2. I did that a few weeks ago and I had to run to Bob to ask for a copy of a standard LP2 folder to reconfigure my SD card. Okay, so it was a pleasure to introduce you to this new feature about the LP2, and take care and have a nice day and see you soon.